Okay. So welcome into my channel, Philadelphia Walks PTSD. My name is Sharon Cole, or Sharon, or Cole. Whatever you want to refer to me as is totally fine. It doesn't matter. He, she, it, Ms., Mrs., Mr., whatever. So anyway, here we are on day 40, can you believe it, of a 365-day campaign to raise money in a very serious way from people big or small, short or tall, and ultimately very deep and serious pockets because of something very deep and very serious, which is for the record books, even though I don't seem like all that in a bag of chips, but I will say this, and I kind of joke, maybe I am a bag of chips, microchips, because where is Waldo and where does it all come from? So anyway, a little bit of a joke there, but what happened to me was so bad that I actually was looking into anything and everything possible, and the material was out there to look into. Someone told me to sort of go through bibliotherapy and go online or research and try to figure out, see what you can find related to your case and see what comes up. And back in the day, there isn't as much these days. Back in the day, there was a lot of fodder out there. A lot bad, some good. There was a lot of, I guess they call it counter intel. There's a word for it. I don't know what it is, but they're here to. Wait, hold on. What happened? Okay, sorry. There was a little blip in the. Got a little interruption. So girl interrupted. But anyway, that came up also. And talk about an interruption. It wasn't like a year here or there. This is a 10-year, 12-year situation of who the hell are these people? Do they just create blocks and obstructions constantly for the rest of your life? Or what is it? So anyway, as I was saying, there was a lot of fodder online about this material. One of the best sources, but I could only take in so much because it can become too overwhelming. But what made sense and what applied to what I was experiencing would be the information found on a site called fightgangstalking.org. I don't know if it's .org or not. Org doesn't make sense to me because that's in the government realm, if you're an organization as opposed to .com. But it's fightgangstalking.com or .org. Whoever created that site just in time for this type of activity to either start or for certain targets to emerge as major targets of this thing, they are very, very highly educated in hate crimes, the military, or one person put this out there, and also very well spoken and very well written, articulate, prolific, or what have you. So whoever it is, they know what it is. And they are so deeply into trying to figure out what causes it. They might even be spiritually minded or possibly religious. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but I was able to say that happened. Okay, that's happening. That happened. This happened. This happened. And whoever it is, tries to explain possibly something that's incredibly difficult to explain, especially for regular flesh and bone people down here, which is, how does information flow? Why are movies made? How are they made? Could your life become enraptured in someone's wet dream of a movie? That's a good way to put it. So anyway, and this person would know about all kinds of hate crimes, all kinds of crimes against humanity, human rights violations. The thing is, people who commit a lot of, and I don't like to use the word crime and criminals, it just comes up all the time, but because I tend to be a liberal person and I want to know what's going on and what caused what. So I don't like there are people who do stupid things. People are human, they're dumb most of the time, and get caught up in situations that maybe aren't really best for them, but they don't know they have. Anyway, whole point being, I have to sort of track back and stay on point here. Whatever it was, sorry, I lost my little point there, but it started out very seriously, very badly. I feel like I was set up way in advance for it. Literally, there were all kinds of vehicles all around my apartment before everything hit off. Meaning, and I mean vehicles that could feed paranoia. So they look like satellite vans, Mercedes, lots of contractors, people digging up streets all over the place. I think they were laying in maybe new Verizon lines or Comcast, whoever. But all of this played into whatever went on. And I do feel like I was interrogated invisibly in my apartment. So can people dog whisper to, I will be modest, I will put myself down, if you will. It was so bad that I don't care, because I'm wondering who else suffers from this and who else gets words put into their mouths without them consciously totally realizing it. And then those people are believing or saying things that they really wouldn't normally as their own normal selves. And which will lead me to a very serious issue here that I see cropping up. And I started to notice it while I was in Gainesville, Florida. And this is after many years of being tortured as if I were a whistleblower for a major company. I'm not even close. I don't even come close to that, whatever that is. Although now I am, says I just keep talking, but I don't know who the company is. I don't know who's at the core of this massive, massive problem. And somehow I became the center, the recipient of all this. I keep losing my thought though, but I will say this. What I noticed in Gainesville, Florida, when I took classes at a yoga studio, a very popular one, I noticed that the instructors, their words started to come out a certain way, and you could hear, it's like, did they mean this or did they mean that? And it's almost as if negative words or words that can get under the skins of people can be slipped into a sentence really quick. And I was like, it happens so quickly because a lot of people who wind up, say, teaching yoga or teaching, they practice and rehearse so much that they can talk very quickly, like 65 miles per hour. And it's like, wait, did they say this or did they say that? And I noticed that even when I've called, say, like government agencies for all kinds of reasons to see if I can get assistance, this, that, and the other. And it's like, maybe someone calls back and they leave a message and it's like, did they say what? What did they say? I feel like I'm in trouble. I feel like somebody's going to put me in jail. Blah, 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 income. And I'm like, I think I can't tell if people are doing it on purpose or if there's something weird going on in the universe. When I came back here and attended more yoga classes, I noticed it happening again. I'm like, that is whack. Or did they just, you can't say that. Like that, what are they saying? A very simple, and I don't love using this example, but it's the one that I keep remembering because it's so easy. If it comes up again, I'll write it down and I'll use this example again. Another example, or an example of whatever I hear that's more sophisticated. But there was a woman who lived across the street from my mom and aunt in Turkey Forest. This is in Gainesville, Florida. And we were talking about substitute teaching because I had a hard time substitute teaching in public schools. And I went to private schools. It's okay. I can only teach in a certain realm. I don't know how to deal with kids. And I was one of these kids who I was always quiet, off the radar. You know, I was good by default because I wasn't noticeable. I was the invisible kid. So anyway, so when kids are normal and get into trouble and all this stuff, I have no idea what to do. And these days it's a wreck out there. So anyway, but she was talking about her experience as a teacher or substitute teacher. And she's like, oh my God, these kids are rough out there. She's like, I once said, and I'm just bringing this up because she brought it up as an example, so I worry about it. But she once said, you know, she told the class, hey, no back talk. And this is an older woman, and this is how people would have talked a lot back then. And somehow it got turned around and someone said, do you mean no black talk? Or did you say no black talk? And she's like, no, I said no back talk. I kind of believe her because of the person she is, and she probably wouldn't be technically that dumb unless she's heavily provoked and angry. But in general, most people are kind enough, at least I think so, that they would just say, hey, look, no back talk. But it could have come out the wrong way. Or people are putting words. That's one way to put words. There's another way. People can actually put words in people's mouths. Just watch Beetlejuice and the dinner scene with Winona Ryder. Dale, Dale, daylight come and we wanna go home. Okay, so it could happen. That's the problem. Is a person could be manipulated by a master, if you will. And what if that person gets in trouble? And they would have never done that. They would have never. At the core, most people are basically good. I don't know what to say about what happened here, because I'm wondering how many people were puppeted, and they would never want to believe that. They want to believe they're in control. Intentional communities. Mobbers. Everybody thinks they're in control. Are they? I don't know. Good question. So anyway, with that said, this has become a newer and more often thing going on, that people are saying things and words are coming out sounding like black talk as opposed to back talk. That would be a very simplified example. It gets way more sophisticated, because I've almost broken down in laughter in some yoga studios. This is in the past. I don't take yoga anymore because they got rid of good yoga here, except for Shanga. But as far as vinyasa flow and your normal, your more accessible, I guess, yoga studios, I don't know what happened. It's wrong that people are paying these prices for less than half of what was taught before. Less than half. So anyway, and they're paying 3 times more. But anyway, that's a whole other addition to the problem. The yoga studios today are contributing to gang stalking. But anyway, but I became very angry and hurt and agitated constantly by all these people milling around the city, which is why I say, the harassers made me hate people. I say it half jokingly, but it's like having PTSD and getting angry all the time and being triggered all the time and being provoked all the time. It's like, where do these people come from who are playing out this game, and why would they do this to someone or anyone? Why would they do this? So anyway, I'm just going to wrap it up and keep it short today. On day 40 of the 365-day campaign, I actually cannot work in a, say, 9 to 5 capacity. The only way I can have a normal job is to sort of hustle and do odd things that don't come with a lot of benefits. Technically, working 9 to 5 could be somewhat a little bit of a luxury, because your money is automatically put into certain funds for later when you're older. You're already paying into Social Security. You have a million federal holidays and bank holidays. You have vacation days. You have personal days. You have maternity. You have sick days. You have these days. You have those days. It's like, do people show up to work for these 9 to 5 jobs, and what do they do there? So I work in such a way that I have to hustle. I have to keep looking. I have to freelance. I have to do this. I have signed up for so many things and gone through so many orientations, online and off, that it's exhausting. And it's better for Sharon to work in a very small group, if you will, or private situation, or I'm asking for donations because my life was stolen. I actually want a life. I would like to have friends, relationships. But because this was so bad, and because people I thought who were my friends seem to be part of the setup, I don't know who they work for. They could be Nazi-driven. People who are in the Nazi realm, and they have certain mentalities. They often wear actual uniforms. Somebody joked with me once, and I want to punch her in the face because she's more of a Nazi than I am. She's like, you're out here walking dogs all the time and you wear the same thing every day. It's like you have a uniform. I wanted to stick her and punch her in the face. She is actually a Nazi. And I'm not. They often say as well that people who don't work in a normal capacity can't, because it's part of a very deep and sadistic matrix. So one has to find a way over here to be able to pay the bills. I'm too high frequency to exist within the matrix, and that's just the way it is. But I've worked, don't be upset, I've worked so many jobs. I'll do the video again. I have 64 people who have paid me, 64 employers from all up and down the scale. That is a lot of hustle. That is a lot of interviewing. That is a lot of, I have to wear a new hat now. Now I'm going to be here. Now I'm going to be there. Now I'm going to be here. Now I'm going to be there. Now I'm going to do this. That. That's a lot of filling out of paperwork online and off. It's a lot of tax forms. I have been paid by over 64 employers, and I am 52 years old. It is possible. I have worked multiple jobs at one time. I also included clients that I had while freelance writing. But still, that only encompasses a very specific time period. Who hasn't Sharon worked for? That's the question. And who should hire Sharon to walk around with a camera? Because there are people out here who make a lot of money by sitting around by government agencies. And they're field intel agents. And they don't have the experience that I have. I have worked so many places, it's ridiculous. So at this point, after being raped and tortured, and I actually was physically raped, anally raped, and I'm dead serious. In addition to being scared shitless out of my apartment, made to believe I'd be murdered, and on a regular basis, little things come up here and there to remind me. Ooh, we're going to scare it. People try to scare me all the time. They try to trick me all the time. They try to bait me into situations. They try to set me up. It is bizarre. It is like certain people are selected to experience this specific journey, which is orchestrated. It's not like God laid it down. Sadistic MFers out here do it. Hey, if you can choreograph a parade, you too can become one of these sadistic MFers. Okay, so anyway, have a great day. I was going to keep it short, but you know. Good luck to the Eagles. I actually want them to win, and I think they're awesome. Someone had to joke and say, do you think the Evils will win? I don't see them that way. I actually see them as good people who are trying to win and raise the morale of a community that is in the dumps all the time. The level of trauma in Philadelphia outdoes most cities in America. It is a very victimized city. And people, maybe to survive, identify with aggressors. I don't know what to say. But it's very disturbing how bad it is here in Philly. It might as well be some Detroit or the worst sections of LA. They probably run a close second or third here in Philly. It's pretty ugly. Okay, so have a good day. And I don't know what to say. Whoever kicked this thing off is in serious trouble. And it's up in the sky. Really quick. That's the other point. Really, really quick. When I say people put words in people's mouths, in the courtroom, you'll hear this all the time. Don't put words in my mouth. You know, Your Honor, so-and-so is putting words in my client's mouth or my witness's mouth or what have you. I actually think it can be done invisibly. Because the other day I rewatched a video that I conducted, and I was talking about someone who worked with my dad, and my dad worked at Wilmington Trust. I have to consciously think about this. But I was telling a whole story, and I said, you know, so-and-so, Mike Winklewitz, worked with my dad at Wilmington, Delaware. And twice I said Wilmington, Delaware instead of Wilmington Trust. And I was like, I can't believe I said Wilmington, Delaware and not Wilmington Trust. So my brain was up here trying to think about what to say. The problem is our words put in and you're not aware of it. And most people can't go back and replay their conversations in life. I can replay a video. It does concern me because I actually think brains can be manipulated even in offices like EBT SNAP benefits and Social Security. And technically the operator would be innocent other than sometimes being assholes or bitches, but their brains can be manipulated when they work out the formula. Wherever you work in a call center or similar, and you're on the computer working out, punching in numbers, it is incredibly easy, I believe, and I've seen it happen, and somebody's getting approved who shouldn't have been approved, and somebody up there has a lot of ability, very high level, and mid-range or high level? Mid-range and higher people who can do things that people don't understand, can manipulate someone's brain in a moment or a flash really quick. This person needs to be approved. Just have her jump her fingers on there, and she's so busy she doesn't even know she did it. I kind of believe this because certain things have come up. I'm like, that's weird. How'd that happen? And someone who's busy working in an office, innocent or not, at these government offices, they may not even know that they're approving someone who shouldn't be approved, or they're disapproving someone who should be approved. So for all those people out there who get angry and they're like, what? My neighbor over here got the full amount and there's no way. She keeps getting it and it never ends. There's no way. Or he keeps getting it and never ends. How'd that work out? Somebody up there wants to make sure that person has it. It's either basic error, and there's supposed to be all these checks and balances and everything, but it can be done. And people down here, they're too preoccupied. They're normal human beings. They don't know half the time. And I guess they're supposed to be afraid to do anything wrong, so they don't want to wind up being penalized at work because should it look like they show favoritism or something. But it could happen. And there are people it's possible people have lost jobs because they've been able to confuse, say, a cashier at Whole Foods. I actually worked at Whole Foods for a while. That's on my list of places I worked to get extra income. I even worked there full-time hours to get extra income while freelancing. And there were times when it's like, I would think, did a customer trick me on the change? Where my brain was operating one way, and it's like they had a very small range. This is back in the day, a very small range of error that you could make, it was like a $5 range. And if certain things, like if you were outside of that range, even if you were over, so even if you made the company money by mistake, you were still in trouble. It's like somebody must have handed me a bigger bill and I gave them less change thinking it was a 20 as opposed to a 50. And now I'm $20 over on my drawer, but that's a mark against the cashier, even if it's over. Whether you're under or over, you would be penalized. And it's like, what if there's some weird thing that comes in that flips someone's brain and you think you're giving back the right change, and it's busy on a Sunday that lines out the rear, and so forth and so on. People are manipulated all the time. Most of us are down here, and it's not that hard to do. And people are believing things that are completely erroneous, and they swear to God. Might not be true. And then there are people who are actual victims who are trying to prove something, and people try to say no, and the higher ups will be no. Somebody inserted that, like false memories. So you have to write stuff down. I don't have false memories. But there are people out there who pretend to be victims, and they want to discount my victimization. And that makes me very angry, which is why we're documenting these days. I had to write a book to list for one person. I had to list so you could see the personality on this person. Those things actually happened. But I know there are people out there going, Woody, probably, no. Just because someone looks good and has money and assets doesn't mean they're innocent. And just because someone like me is down here, just like these employees trying to figure out, did I do the right change? Did somebody trick me? I am an actual victim a million times over since 1972. Get used to it. And don't ever try to make it seem like I am not an actual victim, because your lives have been orchestrated and your lives are lies. Thank you. That made me very angry, but that came up. Thank you.